The nursery is finally ready. Elena Moretti stands in the doorway of the small bedroom they've converted, her hand resting on the swell of her belly as she surveys her work. Soft gray walls, white furniture from IKEA that she assembled herself, a mobile of hand-stitched clouds and stars hanging above the crib. It's not the luxury nursery she once dreamed of. No designer fabrics, no custom murals, no interior decorator, but it's filled with love. Every piece chosen carefully, every detail planned during the long, lonely evenings when her husband doesn't come home. The baby kicks, a strong flutter beneath her ribs, and Elena smiles despite the ache in her lower back. 38 weeks pregnant, and she feels like she's carrying the entire world inside her. Her feet are swollen, her ankles disappeared weeks ago, and she can't remember the last time she saw her own toes. But none of that matters when she thinks about finally meeting her daughter. Their daughter, though sometimes, in the quiet hours of the night, Elena wonders if she'll be raising this baby alone. "Mrs. Moretti, I've prepared dinner." Rosa, their housekeeper, appears behind her, her kind face creased with concern. "You should eat something. The baby needs nutrition." Elena turns, managing a tired smile. "Thank you, Rosa. I'll be down in a minute." But Rosa doesn't leave. Instead, she steps closer, her voice dropping to a gentle whisper. "He should be here with you, especially now, so close to your due date. It's not right what he's doing." The words hit too close to home, and Elena feels tears prick at her eyes. She blinks them back, refusing to cry. She's done enough crying over the past 6 months to fill Lake Erie. "He's busy with work," Elena says, the lie tasting bitter on her tongue. The business requires a man who has his priorities straight," Rosa interrupts, her Italian accent thickening with emotion. "I've worked for this family for 20 years. I watched Mr. Moretti's father build his empire, and never once did he miss an important moment with his family." Elena places a hand on Rosa's arm. "I appreciate your concern, truly. But this is between Dante and me." Rosa's eyes fill with sympathy and frustration. "You deserve better than this, child. You and that baby both." After Rosa leaves, Elena lowers herself carefully onto the rocking chair she found at an estate sale. It creaks softly as she moves, and she imagines herself here in a few weeks, cradling her newborn daughter, singing the Italian lullabies her own mother taught her. If you're enjoying the story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. Will Dante be here for those moments? Will he hold their daughter with the same tenderness he once showed her? Or will he continue this pattern of absence, leaving Elena to navigate motherhood alone while he builds his empire and destroys their marriage? Her phone sits on the small table beside her, silent and accusing. She checks it compulsively now, hoping for a text, a call, any sign that her husband remembers he has a pregnant wife at home. But the screen remains dark, just as it has for most of the day. Elena's due date is in 2 days. 2 days until she's supposed to meet her daughter, and she has no idea if her husband will even be there. She remembers a time when Dante would have moved heaven and earth to be by her side. When they first married 3 years ago, he couldn't stand to be away from her for more than a few hours. He'd call her between meetings, text her silly messages that made her laugh, come home early just to hold her while they watched the sunset from their penthouse terrace. That Dante feels like a stranger now. This Dante, the one who comes home smelling of expensive perfume that isn't hers, who takes phone calls in his study with the door locked, who looks at her with distant politeness rather than love. She doesn't recognize him at all. The cramping in her lower abdomen intensifies, and Elena shifts in the chair, trying to find a comfortable position. Braxton Hicks contractions, her doctor said. Practice contractions, preparing her body for the real thing. She's been having them on and off for weeks, each one a reminder that time is running out. Time for Dante to remember what matters. Time for him to choose his family over whoever has stolen his attention. Elena's phone buzzes and her heart leaps. But it's just her sister, Maria, checking in for the 3rd time today. "How are you feeling? Any signs of labor?" Elena types back, "Just tired. No baby yet. Dante's working late again." The 3 dots appear, disappear, then appear again. Finally, "Elena, I'm worried about you. Something isn't right. Let me come stay with you until the baby arrives." "I'm fine," Elena lies. Rose is here. And Dante will be home soon. Another lie. She's becoming skilled at them, crafting falsehoods to protect her pride, to avoid admitting that her marriage is crumbling while she carries his child. Across the city, in a candlelit restaurant overlooking Central Park, Dante Moretti refills Vanessa Drake's wine glass and watches her smile. She's beautiful in the way that demands attention. Sleek black dress, perfectly styled blonde hair, red lips that curve with practiced seduction. Everything about her is calculated, designed to captivate, and for 6 months, Dante has let himself be captivated. "You're distracted tonight," Vanessa observes, trailing her finger along the rim of her glass. "Thinking about work." Dante forces a smile. "Sorry, just a lot on my mind." What he doesn't say is that his mind keeps drifting to Elena, alone in their penthouse, her belly swollen with his child. He'd seen her this morning before leaving, standing at the kitchen counter in one of his old shirts, her dark hair falling in waves down her back as she made breakfast she probably wouldn't eat. She'd looked so tired, so beautiful, so heartbreakingly vulnerable. And he'd kissed her cheek with the same distant affection he might show an elderly aunt, then walked out the door to spend his day, and now his evening, with another woman. "Dante!" Vanessa's voice pulls him back. "Are you even listening to me?" "Of course." He lies smoothly. "You were saying something about the charity gala next month?" Vanessa leans forward, her hand covering his on the table. "I was saying that I want you to come with me. As my date. Publicly." Dante's stomach tightens. "Vanessa, we've discussed this. I'm still married." "Barely," she counters, her voice carrying an edge of impatience. "You said the marriage was over. You said you were just waiting for the right time to file for divorce. It's complicated. It's only complicated because you're making it complicated." Vanessa withdraws her hand, her expression shifting from seductive to calculating. "I'm not some mistress willing to hide in the shadows forever, Dante. I have options. Men who would be proud to be seen with me." The implied threat hangs between them, and Dante feels anger flare in his chest. But beneath the anger is something else, relief. The idea of ending this affair, of going home to Elena, of being the husband and father he's supposed to be, suddenly feels like salvation rather than sacrifice. But before he can respond, his phone vibrates on the table. Elena's name flashes across the screen. Vanessa's eyes narrow. "Are you going to answer that?" Dante stares at his wife's name, his finger hovering over the screen. He knows he should answer. Elena never calls during his business dinners, unless it's important. But Vanessa is watching him with those sharp, assessing eyes, and answering would mean admitting that his wife still has a claim on him. The call goes to voicemail. "Smart choice," Vanessa purrs, her hand returning to his. "Tonight is about us." Dante's phone immediately vibrates again. Another call from Elena. "Seriously." Vanessa's voice hardens. "Can't she take a hint?" "She's pregnant," Dante says defensively, though he still doesn't answer. "She's due any day now. Then she should be resting, not bothering you during dinner." The call ends. Seconds later, a text message appears. "Dante, please call me. It's important." Dante's heart begins to race. Something in those simple words carries an urgency that makes his mouth go dry. But Vanessa is already signaling the waiter, ordering champagne to celebrate their 6-month anniversary, and he tells himself he'll call Elena back in a few minutes. After dessert, after he gets through this evening, another text arrives. The contractions started. They're about 10 minutes apart. "I think this is real labor. I'm scared. The world seems to tilt. Elena's in labor. His wife is having their baby, and she's scared, and she's trying to reach him. Every instinct screams at him to leave, to run to her, to be the man she needs him to be. But Vanessa is smiling at him across the table, raising her champagne glass in a toast, and the other diners in the restaurant, men from his business circles, women who know his family, are watching to see if the rumors about Dante Moretti and Vanessa Drake are true. His phone rings again. Elena's third call. "Oh my God," Vanessa hisses. "Is she always this clingy?" The word strikes Dante like a slap. Clingy. His pregnant wife, in labor, desperately trying to reach her husband, reduced to that cruel dismissal. "I need to," he starts. "You need to stay here and finish our dinner," Vanessa interrupts firmly. Whatever crisis she's invented can wait. She does this, Dante. She tries to manipulate you with drama every time we're together. Another text. They're getting closer together. 8 minutes now. Dr. Ramirez, set to call when they're 5 minutes apart. Please, I need you. Dante. Vanessa's voice cuts through his thoughts like ice. Turn off your phone. Right now. Prove to me that you're serious about us. He stares at her across the candlelit table, this woman who has consumed his attention for half a year, and suddenly sees her clearly for the first time. Sees the calculation in her eyes, the impatience in the set of her jaw, the fundamental absence of empathy for a woman in labor, alone and afraid. And still, shamefully, pathetically, he doesn't move. If you answer that phone, Vanessa says softly, dangerously, we're done. I mean it, Dante. I'm not going to compete with your martyr of a wife anymore. Choose. Right now. His phone vibrates with another message. Please don't ignore me. I'm really scared. Something doesn't feel right. The pain is different than what Dr. Ramirez described. Dante's hand trembles as he reaches for his phone. He sees Elena's messages, her fear evident in every word, and he knows what he should do. He knows what any decent man, any real husband, any father worth the name would do. Instead, he powers off his phone completely. The screen goes black, severing the connection to his wife just as she needs him most. The silence that follows feels like a death knell, and somewhere deep in his chest, something fundamental breaks. Thank you, Vanessa says, her smile triumphant. Now, wasn't that easy? Let's enjoy our evening. The champagne tastes like ash in Dante's mouth. He goes through the motions of the dinner, laughs at Vanessa's stories, orders dessert, makes small talk with the sommelier, but his mind is miles away, in a penthouse on the Upper East Side where his wife is facing the most terrifying, painful experience of her life. Alone. Because he turned off his phone. Because he chose to sit here with his mistress, rather than be there for the birth of his child. You're doing it again, Vanessa complains, setting down her fork with an annoyed click. Zoning out. Are you even enjoying yourself? Of course. Dante lies automatically. The meal is excellent. But the food sits heavy in his stomach, and with each passing minute, the weight of his decision grows heavier. He imagines Elena in their bedroom, gripping the sheets as contractions tear through her. Is Rosa helping her? Did she call her sister? Or is she still trying to reach him, staring at her phone in disbelief as her calls go straight to voicemail? Something doesn't feel right, her last text had said. The pain is different. What if something's wrong? What if the baby is in distress? What if Elena needs an emergency C-section? What if? Dante! Vanessa snaps her fingers in front of his face. Seriously, what is wrong with you tonight? I need to go, he says abruptly, standing so quickly his chair scrapes against the floor. Several nearby diners look over, and Dante realizes he doesn't care. Doesn't care about appearances, about what people might think, about maintaining the facade he's built. His wife is in labor, and he's sitting in a restaurant with his mistress like some kind of monster. Sit down, Vanessa orders, her eyes flashing with anger. You're making a scene. My wife is having our baby. I need to be there. Your wife is fine. Women have been giving birth for thousands of years. She doesn't need you hovering over her like. She texted me that something felt wrong. Dante interrupts, his voice rising. What if there are complications? What if she or the baby? He can't finish the sentence. Can't give voice to the terrifying possibilities that are suddenly very, very real. Vanessa's face hardens. If you walk out of this restaurant right now, don't bother coming back to me. I mean it, Dante. This is your last chance to choose what you really want. Dante looks at her, really looks at her, and feels something like scales falling from his eyes. What does he want? He wanted this affair to fill the emptiness he felt, to escape the reality of his life, to feel young and free and unencumbered by responsibility. But what has it actually given him? Guilt. Shame. A wife who eats alone. A marriage in ruins. And now, the possibility that he might miss the birth of his child because he was too cowardly to face the consequences of his choices. I'm sorry, he says quietly, but I have to go. Vanessa's laugh is cruel and sharp. You'll regret this. You're choosing a woman who's trapped you with a baby over a woman who actually understands you. The words should hurt, but they just make Dante tired. Elena never trapped me. I trapped myself. He throws several $100 bills on the table without counting them, and strides toward the exit. Behind him, he can hear Vanessa calling his name, her voice shrill with fury, but he doesn't look back. He's already pulling out his phone, powering it back on with trembling fingers as he bursts through the restaurant doors into the cool October night. The phone takes an eternity to restart. When it finally does, it explodes with notifications. 12 missed calls from Elena, 7 text messages, 3 voicemails, and then, most recently, a text from Rosa. Mr. Moretti, Mrs. Elena has gone to the hospital. The contractions were too close together, and she was bleeding. I'm with her at Mount Sinai. Where are you? Bleeding. The word hits him like a bullet, and Dante breaks into a run toward where his driver waits. His phone rings, Rosa calling back, and he answers breathlessly. Rosa, what's happening? Is Elena okay? Is the baby? Where have you been? Rosa's voice is sharp with accusation and fear. Your wife has been trying to reach you for 2 hours. She's in labor, and there are complications. The baby's heart rate dropped, and they're talking about an emergency cesarean. She needs you here. 2 hours. He turned off his phone 2 hours ago. 2 hours of Elena in pain, scared, facing the possibility of surgery, of something going wrong with their baby, all while her husband sat in a restaurant with another woman. I'm on my way, Dante gasps, throwing himself into the back of his car. Tell her I'm coming. Tell her I'm sorry. Tell her. You tell her yourself when you get here, Rosa says coldly. If you get here in time. The line goes dead. Mount Sinai Hospital, Dante barks at his driver. Emergency entrance. As fast as you can. As the car screams through the streets of Manhattan, running red lights and taking corners at dangerous speeds, Dante listens to Elena's voicemails. Each one is a knife to his heart. The first, Dante, it's me. The contractions started, and they're getting stronger. Can you come home? I'm scared. Her voice is shaky, vulnerable, so different from the strong, confident woman he married. When did she become this frightened? When did he make her feel like she couldn't count on him? The second, it's getting worse. They're only 8 minutes apart now. I called Dr. Ramirez, and she said to head to the hospital when they're 5 minutes apart. I really need you here. Please call me back. He can hear pain in her voice now, can picture her gripping the phone as a contraction hits. The third, Dante, I don't understand why you're not answering. Did something happen? Are you okay? I'm really scared now. The pain is different than what Dr. Ramirez described. Something feels wrong. The fear in those last words makes bile rise in Dante's throat. The fourth and final voicemail is just breathing, harsh and rapid, followed by a strangled cry of pain, and then the sound of the phone clattering to the floor. Dante's hands shake so violently he nearly drops the phone. What has he done? What kind of man ignores his wife's desperate calls while she's in labor? What kind of father chooses dinner with his mistress over being present for his child's birth? The kind of man his own father would have been ashamed to call his son. His phone buzzes with a new text from an unknown number. Heard your wife is at Mount Sinai having the baby. Congrats, Daddy. Hope it was worth choosing me over her tonight. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone how you turned off your phone when she needed you. That's our little secret. Vanessa's message is acid in his veins. She's right, though. He did turn off his phone. He did choose her over Elena. And now his wife is in surgery, their baby in distress, and he's racing through the city trying to undo a mistake that might be irreversible. The car screeches to a halt outside Mount Sinai's emergency entrance. Dante throws the door open before the vehicle has fully stopped and runs through the automatic doors, his Italian leather shoes slipping on the polished floors. Elena Moretti, he gasps at the reception desk. My wife. She's in labor. There are complications. The nurse's eyes widen as she takes in his appearance. Designer suit rumpled from running, hair disheveled, face pale with terror. Are you the father? Yes, where is she? Is she okay? Is the baby? 4th floor, labor and delivery. But sir, you need to. Dante is already gone, sprinting toward the elevators. Other people wait for the car to arrive, but Dante can't stand still. He takes the stairs instead, his heart pounding as he climbs 4 flights at a full run. When he bursts through the doors to the labor and delivery floor, Rosa is there, pacing in the waiting area. Her eyes lock onto him, and the look she gives him could strip paint. Where is she? Dante demands. Where's Elena? In surgery, Rosa says icily. They had to do an emergency cesarean. The baby's heart rate kept dropping, and Elena was bleeding heavily. Dr. Ramirez said waiting any longer would put both of them at risk. Can I see her? Can I go in there? You're too late. They've already started the procedure. You should have been here 2 hours ago when your wife needed you. The accusation in Rosa's voice makes Dante flinch, but he deserves it. He deserves every bit of her anger and more. I made a mistake, he whispers. I made a terrible mistake. Your wife called you 12 times. 12 times. She begged you to answer, to be there for her. And you ignored every single one. Rosa's eyes fill with tears. I've known that girl since she was nothing but a secretary in your father's office. I watched her fall in love with you, watched you promise her the world. And this is how you treat her on the most important day of her life. Dante can't speak, can't defend himself, can only stand there as the full weight of his betrayal crashes over him. A doctor in surgical scrubs appears in the hallway, and Dante lurches toward her. Elena Moretti, is she okay? The baby. Dr. Ramirez looks at him with barely concealed disapproval. You must be the father. We've been trying to reach you. I know, I'm sorry my phone was... He can't finish the lie. Can't say his phone was dead, or that he didn't get the messages. Is my wife okay? Mrs. Moretti is in surgery. We had to perform an emergency C-section due to placental abruption. It's a serious condition where the placenta separates from the uterine wall prematurely. Your wife was hemorrhaging, and the baby was in distress. The medical terms wash over Dante like a nightmare. Hemorrhaging, baby in distress, emergency surgery, all while he was having champagne with his mistress. Are they going to be okay? His voice breaks on the question. We're doing everything we can, Dr. Ramirez says, but her tone offers no comfort. The next few hours will be critical for both mother and baby. I'll update you as soon as I have more information. She disappears back through the surgical doors, leaving Dante alone with Rosa's condemning presence and the crushing reality of what he's done. He sinks into one of the uncomfortable waiting room chairs, his head in his hands. And for the first time in 6 months, for the first time since he started the affair that has destroyed everything, Dante Moretti allows himself to truly feel the magnitude of his failures. His wife is on an operating table, fighting for her life. His daughter might not survive the next few hours. And he missed it all because he was too much of a coward to answer his phone. The waiting room clock ticks with cruel precision. Each second is an eternity. Each minute is a lifetime. Dante sits with his elbows on his knees, his hands clasped so tightly his knuckles have gone white. He's praying, something he hasn't done since his father's funeral, bargaining with God, the universe, anyone who might be listening. Please let them be okay. Please let me have the chance to make this right. I'll give up everything. The business, the money, the power. Just please let my wife and daughter live. Rosa has moved to the far corner of the waiting room, as far from him as possible without leaving. She sits rigid and silent, occasionally checking her phone, her lips moving in what looks like her own prayers. Around them, the hospital continues its relentless rhythm. Nurses move through corridors with purposeful efficiency. Other families wait for news of their loved ones. A young couple clutches each other as they're told their newborn son is healthy. Dante watches them cry with joy and feels something crack inside his chest. That should have been him and Elena. Should have been them crying together, holding each other, marveling at the miracle of their daughter's arrival. Instead, his wife is on an operating table, hemorrhaging, while their baby fights for her life. His phone buzzes. A text from Marco, his second in command. Boss heard about Elena. Hospital security says there's been unusual activity outside. Want me to send a team? Dante had forgotten, in his panic, in his guilt, that his world carries dangers beyond the personal. He's one of the most powerful men in New York's underworld, which means his family is vulnerable. His enemies are always watching, always waiting for a moment of weakness. And this is the ultimate weakness. His wife and newborn daughter, unprotected in a public hospital. He types back quickly. Yes. Full security detail. No one gets near the maternity ward without clearance. And Marco, be discreet. The last thing Elena needs is to wake up to armed guards outside her room. But he can't risk it. Can't risk anything happening to them when he's already failed so spectacularly. Time continues its cruel march. 1 hour becomes 2. 2 becomes 3. Dante hasn't moved from his chair except to pace short, agitated circles when the tension becomes unbearable. He's run through every worst-case scenario his mind can conjure. Elena dying from blood loss. The baby born too damaged to survive. Both of them lost to him forever, and all because he was too selfish, too weak, too fundamentally broken to answer his phone. At 2:47 a.m., Dr. Ramirez finally emerges from the surgical wing. Dante is on his feet before she's fully through the doors, his heart hammering so hard he can feel it in his throat. Rosa moves to his side, and for a moment, their shared fear supersedes her anger at him. "How are they?" Dante's voice is barely recognizable. "Please, tell me they're okay." Dr. Ramirez's expression is exhausted but not grief-stricken, and Dante seizes onto that detail like a drowning man clutching driftwood. "Your wife and daughter are alive," she says, and Dante's knees nearly buckle with relief. "But the situation is serious." "Tell me everything," Dante demands. "Don't spare any details." Dr. Ramirez nods. "Mrs. Moretti experienced a complete placental abruption. She lost a significant amount of blood. We had to give her 3 units during surgery. She's stable now, but weak. The next 24 hours will be critical as we monitor for infection and ensure her body begins healing properly." "And the baby?" Rosa asks, her voice trembling. "Your daughter was born at 2:19 a.m. 4 pounds, 11 ounces. She's small, because the placental abruption meant she wasn't receiving adequate oxygen and nutrients in the final hours. Her APGAR scores were concerning at first, but she's responding well to support." Dante grips the back of a chair to keep himself upright. "What does that mean? Responding well to support?" "She's in the NICU, the neonatal intensive care unit. She's receiving oxygen and being monitored closely. The first 72 hours are crucial for babies born under traumatic circumstances. But Mr. Moretti, your daughter is a fighter. She's breathing on her own, and her vitals are strengthening. A fighter, like her mother. Can I see them?" Dante asks desperately. "Can I see my wife and daughter?" Dr. Ramirez hesitates. "Your wife is in recovery. She's conscious but heavily sedated. Mr. Moretti, I need to be honest with you. Mrs. Moretti was extremely distressed during the surgery. Even under sedation, she kept asking for you. Asking why you weren't there. The words are knives, each one finding its mark. She doesn't know," Dante says slowly, the realization dawning with horrible clarity. "She doesn't know that I turned off my phone. She thinks something happened to me. I think it would be best if you let her rest for a few hours before." "No." Dante's voice is firm. "I need to see her. I need to tell her I'm here. Even if she hates me, even if she never forgives me, she needs to know I'm here now." Dr. Ramirez studies him for a long moment, and Dante wonders what she sees. A man in a $1,000 suit, disheveled and desperate. A husband who missed his wife's emergency surgery. A father who wasn't there for his daughter's traumatic birth. "Room 512, she says finally. "But Mr. Moretti, if she asks you to leave, you leave. She's been through an enormous trauma, and her emotional state is as important as her physical recovery." Dante nods, already moving toward the elevators. Behind him, he hears Rosa say, "I'm going to see the baby. Someone should be there with her. The accusation is clear, since you weren't." The 5th floor is quieter than the surgical wing, bathed in the dim lighting of nighttime hospital hours. Dante's footsteps echo against the polished floors as he makes his way to room 512. His security team has already arrived. He spots 2 of Marco's men positioned discreetly down the hallway, but he barely registers them. His entire world has narrowed to the door in front of him and what lies beyond it. He knocks softly, then pushes the door open. Elena lies in the hospital bed, and the sight of her stops Dante's heart. She's always been beautiful, strikingly so, with her dark hair and luminous skin. But now she looks fragile, breakable in a way she never has before. Her skin is pallid against the white sheets, her hair tangled and damp with sweat. Dark circles shadow her eyes, and there's a haunted quality to her expression that makes Dante want to weep. And 4 snakes into her left hand. Monitors track her vital signs with quiet beeps. Her right hand rests protectively over her now flat stomach, as if she's mourning the absence of a child who lived there for 9 months. "Elena," Dante whispers, moving toward the bed. Her eyes open slowly, and when they focus on him, Dante sees a storm of emotions flash across her face. Relief, confusion, and then, as consciousness fully returns, something that looks like betrayal. "You're here," she says, her voice hoarse and disbelieving. "You're actually here." "I'm so sorry," Dante begins, but Elena holds up her hand to stop him. "What happened?" she asks. "Why didn't you answer your calls?" "I thought," her voice breaks, "I thought something terrible had happened to you. I thought you were hurt or dead, and I was so scared, Dante. I was so scared that you wouldn't get to meet our daughter." The concern in her voice, the fact that even in her moment of greatest fear and pain, she was worried about him, makes Dante feel like the lowest form of life. "Nothing happened to me," he says quietly. "I was fine. I didn't answer." Elena's brow furrows with confusion. "You didn't answer? I don't understand. You saw that I was calling." "Yes. You saw my texts? That I said the contractions started, that something felt wrong." "Yes." The confusion in Elena's face slowly transforms into something else. Something harder and more painful to witness. "Where were you?" she asks, though her tone suggests she already knows. Dante could lie, could invent some business emergency, some crisis that demanded his attention. But he's done with lies, done with the cowardice that brought him to this moment. "I was at dinner," he says, the words feeling like shards of glass in his throat. "With Vanessa." Elena closes her eyes, and a single tear slides down her cheek. "You were with her. While I was in labor, while I was bleeding and scared and our baby was in distress, you were with her." "Elena, please. Did you know?" Her eyes snap open, boring into him with an intensity that makes him flinch. "When you saw my calls, when you read my texts, did you know I was in labor?" "Yes." "And you still didn't answer?" Dante's voice fails him. What defense can he possibly offer? "Tell me the truth, Dante." Elena's voice is steady now, hard as steel. "All of it. No more lies." So he tells her about Vanessa demanding he turn off his phone, about choosing to stay at dinner, to avoid making a scene, to prioritize his mistress's comfort over his wife's emergency. He tells her about the 12 missed calls, the messages he ignored, the 2 hours he spent drinking champagne while she hemorrhaged. With each word, he watches Elena's heartbreak, watches the woman who loved him, who trusted him, who carried his child for 9 months, die a little more. When he finishes, the silence is deafening. "Our daughter almost died," Elena finally says, her voice eerily calm. "I almost died, and you were having champagne with a woman you've been sleeping with for 6 months." "I know. Elena, I know, and I—" "Get out." The words are quiet but absolute. "Elena, please let me. Get out." The scream tears from her throat, causing monitors to beep in alarm. "Get out of my room. Get away from me. I can't look at you right now." Dr. Ramirez bursts through the door, 2 nurses at her heels. "Mr. Moretti, you need to leave immediately." "Elena, please." "I said get out." Elena is sobbing now, her whole body shaking. "You weren't there. When I needed you most, when our baby needed you, you chose her. You chose that woman over your own child." "Mrs. Moretti, please try to calm down," one of the nurses urges, checking the monitors. "Your blood pressure is spiking." "Mr. Moretti, now." Dr. Ramirez's voice brooks no argument. "You're putting her health at risk." Dante backs toward the door, his own eyes burning with unshed tears. "I'm sorry. Elena, I'm so sorry." But his wife has turned her face away, her shoulders heaving with sobs, and Dante knows he's lost her. Maybe forever. In the hallway, he leans against the wall and finally lets the tears fall. Lets himself feel the full weight of what he's destroyed. His marriage, his wife's trust, his daughter's first moments of life. All of it sacrificed for an affair that now seems so meaningless he can barely remember why it started. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. His phone buzzes. Marco calling. "Boss, we have a situation." Dante straightens, swiping at his eyes. "What kind of situation?" Salvatore Russo's men were spotted outside the hospital an hour ago. They left when our team showed up, but this feels wrong. Why would the Russos be interested in your wife's delivery? The Russos, one of the 3 families that have been pushing against Moretti territory for the past year. Salvatore Russo, the patriarch, is old school, believes in hitting enemies where they're weakest. And Dante has never been weaker than right now. Double the security detail, Dante orders. I want eyes on every entrance to this floor. No one gets near my wife or daughter without me knowing about it. Already done. But boss, if the Russos know about the baby, if they know Elena's vulnerable right now, they won't touch her, Dante says with cold certainty. Because if they do, there won't be a Russo left alive in this city. He ends the call and looks down the hallway toward the NICU. His daughter is in there, tiny and fighting for every breath. And according to Rosa's last text, she's alone except for nurses and machines. Dante makes his way to the neonatal intensive care unit, where a nurse at the desk informs him he'll need to scrub in before entering. He follows her instructions mechanically, washing his hands and arms, putting on a sterile gown, following her through the secure doors into the unit itself. The NICU is a hushed world of beeping monitors and softly crying babies. Incubators line the walls, each one holding a tiny human being fighting to survive. The nurse leads him to an incubator in the corner, and Dante's breath catches in his throat. His daughter. She's impossibly small, her body barely larger than his 2 hands put together. Wires and tubes connect her to various machines, monitoring her heart rate, her oxygen levels, her temperature. Her skin is slightly red, and her tiny chest rises and falls with rapid, shallow breaths. But she's beautiful. Perfect. Would you like to touch her? The nurse asks gently. Skin-to-skin contact is very beneficial for preemies, even through the incubator ports. Dante nods, unable to speak. The nurse shows him how to reach through the circular openings in the incubator, and then his hands that have held guns, that have signed orders ending men's lives, that have caused so much pain, are gently cradling his daughter's tiny body. She's warm and real and alive, and something in Dante's chest cracks wide open. Hello, little one, he whispers. I'm your papa, and I'm so sorry I wasn't there when you were born. I'm so sorry I wasn't there for your mama. But I'm here now, and I promise, I swear on my life, I will never fail you like that again. The baby's eyes flutter open, dark like his, though he knows they might change, and for a moment, she seems to look right at him. Then she yawns, a tiny movement that somehow encompasses all the innocence and vulnerability in the world, and Dante feels tears stream down his face. She doesn't have a name yet, the nurse says softly. Have you and your wife chosen one? Dante realizes with another stab of guilt that he and Elena never finished discussing names. He'd been too distracted, too absent, too focused on his affair to engage with the reality of impending fatherhood. Not yet, he manages to say. That's all right. When you're ready, let us know, and we'll update her chart. Dante stays there for the next 2 hours, his hands gently touching his daughter through the incubator ports, talking to her in a low voice. He tells her about her grandmother, his mother, who died too young, about the Moretti family legacy that she'll inherit, about her mother, who is the strongest, bravest woman he's ever known. And he makes promises to be better, promises to protect her, promises to earn back her mother's trust, however long it takes. When Rosa arrives at dawn, she finds him still there, exhausted but unable to leave. You should rest, she says, her voice slightly less hostile than before. You look terrible. How is Elena? Dante asks immediately. Sleeping. They gave her something for the pain. Rosa moves to the incubator, gazing down at the baby with undisguised love. She's beautiful. She looks like her mother. She's perfect, Dante agrees. They stand in silence for a moment. 2 people united by their love for the small human fighting for life in front of them. Mr. Moretti, Rosa says, finally, I've worked for your family for 20 years. I watched your father build an empire. I watched you take over when he died. You've always been a good boss, fair, honorable in your way. But you've been a terrible husband these past 6 months. The words sting because they're true. I know. That girl in there, she loved you with everything she had. She gave up her career to be your wife. She learned Italian to speak to your grandmother. She attended 1,000 boring business dinners and smiled through them all because she wanted to support you. And you repaid her by having an affair and abandoning her when she needed you most. I know, Dante repeats, his voice breaking. So what are you going to do about it? Rosa demands. Because you can't undo what happened last night. You can't take back those ignored calls or the hours she spent scared and alone. That's done. The question is, what happens next? Dante looks down at his sleeping daughter. I'm going to be the husband Elena deserves. The father this little girl deserves. Whatever it takes, however long it takes, I'm going to make this right. Words are cheap, Mr. Moretti. Elena has heard your promises before. Then I'll show her with actions. Dante's voice firms with resolution. Starting now. Over the next 3 days, Dante becomes a permanent fixture at Mount Sinai Hospital. He stations himself in a small private waiting room that Marco secures for him, leaving only to check on Elena, who refuses to see him, and to spend hours in the NICU with his daughter. The baby, still unnamed, grows stronger each day. Her lungs develop. Her breathing stabilizes. The doctors are cautiously optimistic that she'll be able to leave the NICU within a week, though she'll need to be monitored closely. Dante learns the routines of the NICU staff. He learns which nurse is working which shift, learns the optimal times to visit when his daughter is most alert. He learns how to change a diaper through incubator ports, how to take her temperature, how to recognize the subtle signs that she's in distress. And he talks to her constantly. Your mama is stubborn, he tells her during one of his visits, gently stroking her tiny hand with his finger. She gets that from her own mother, your Nana Sophia, who I never got to meet. But I think you'll be stubborn too, Piccola. You're fighting so hard already. The baby's fingers curl around his, and Dante's heart swells with a love so fierce it frightens him. He would burn down the world for this tiny person, would kill anyone who tried to hurt her, would give up everything he owns just to keep her safe. Mr. Moretti? He looks up to see Dr. Ramirez standing beside the incubator, her expression thoughtful. How is she? Dante asks immediately, his constant fear. She's doing well. Very well, actually. Her oxygen levels have been stable for 48 hours, and we're starting to reduce the support. If she continues at this rate, we'll be able to remove the breathing tube tomorrow. Relief floods through him. That's good news. It is. Your daughter is a fighter. Dr. Ramirez pauses. How are you holding up? The question surprises him. I'm fine. Mr. Moretti, you've been in this hospital for 3 days straight. You've slept maybe 6 hours total. You need to take care of yourself. I can't leave them, Dante says simply. Not while they're here and vulnerable. Dr. Ramirez glances toward the security detail stationed discreetly near the NICU entrance. Is there a reason you're concerned about their safety? Beyond normal parental worry. Dante hesitates, then decides there's no point in lying. My business makes enemies. My family has enemies. The fact that my wife and daughter are in a hospital, without me there to protect them for even a few hours, makes them targets. I see. Dr. Ramirez's expression shifts to concern. Should I be worried about the safety of my staff? No. My men will handle any threats before they reach this floor. But I can't, his voice catches. I can't risk anything happening to them. Not when I've already failed them so completely. There's a long silence. Then Dr. Ramirez says quietly, Your wife asked about you this morning. Dante's head snaps up. She did. She wanted to know if you'd been to see the baby. I told her you've barely left the NICU except to sleep in the waiting room. Dr. Ramirez studies him carefully. Mr. Moretti, I'm not a marriage counselor, and it's not my place to comment on your personal life. But I will say this. Your wife is struggling. Physically, she's healing well. But emotionally, she's devastated. The combination of postpartum hormones, the trauma of the delivery, and what happened with you, it's a lot for anyone to process. Can I see her? Dante asks desperately. Will she let me in? I don't know. But I think it would be good for her to know that you're here, that you're taking care of your daughter. Maybe start there. That evening, Dante drafts a letter. He writes it by hand, his normally precise penmanship shaky with exhaustion and emotion. Elena, I don't have the right to ask for your forgiveness. What I did? Choosing to ignore your calls, prioritizing my own comfort over your safety and our daughter's life, is unforgivable. I've spent the past 3 days trying to understand how I became the kind of man who could do such a thing, and I have no good answers. All I know is that I was lost. I was drowning in responsibilities and expectations and the weight of my father's legacy, and instead of turning to you, the woman who has always been my anchor, I ran towards someone who offered an escape from reality. But that reality caught up with me in the worst possible way. And now I understand what I threw away. What I nearly destroyed. Our daughter is beautiful, Elena. She's strong like you, determined like you. She has your eyes. I know they're dark now, but I see the shape of them, and they're yours. She fights for every breath, and every time I hold her tiny hand, I'm reminded of what truly matters. You and her. Nothing else. Not the business, not the empire, not the power or the respect or any of it. Just you and our little girl. I know I don't deserve another chance. I know that trust, once broken, may never be fully repaired. But if you'll let me, I'd like to try. Not because I want to ease my guilt or because I'm afraid of losing everything, though I am terrified of that, but because I love you. I never stopped loving you, even when I was being unfaithful, even when I was destroying us. I've ended things with Vanessa completely. I've changed all our security protocols to ensure she can never get near you or our daughter. I've moved out of the penthouse. I'm staying at the office for now, so you can recover at home in peace when you're discharged. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to take me back. But I'm asking for the chance to prove, through my actions, that I can be the husband and father you both deserve. I'm here, Elena. I'm not going anywhere. Our daughter needs a name, and she needs her mother. When you're ready, I'll be waiting. Always yours, Dante. He gives the letter to Rosa to deliver, then returns to his vigil in the NICU. Hours later, his phone buzzes with a text from Elena. Bring her to me. I want to see our baby. Dante's hands shake as he works with the NICU nurses to prepare his daughter for transport. They bundle her carefully in soft blankets, ensuring all her monitors are portable, maintaining her oxygen support through a small mobile unit. She's still quite fragile, the nurse warns as they place her in a specialized bassinet. Keep the visit short, no more than 30 minutes. And Mrs. Moretti shouldn't try to hold her yet. Her incision is still healing. Dante nods, barely hearing the instructions. His mind is focused on one thing. Elena wants to see their daughter. She's reaching out, creating a bridge across the chasm he created. He pushes the bassinet carefully down the hallway, flanked by 2 nurses and followed at a discreet distance by a security team. When they reach room 512, he pauses outside the door, his heart hammering. This is the first time he'll be in a room with both his wife and daughter. The first time they'll be together as a family, however broken that family might be. He knocks softly. Elena, we're here. Come in, her voice calls, and even those 2 simple words make his chest ache with longing. Elena is sitting up in bed, wearing a hospital gown but looking more alert than the last time he saw her. Her hair is brushed, pulled back in a loose braid. Her skin still carries that hospital pallor, but there's color in her cheeks, life in her eyes. Those eyes lock onto the bassinet immediately, and Dante watches his wife's entire face transform. Oh, she breathes, and tears spill down her cheeks. Oh, my baby. The nurses wheel the bassinet closer to Elena's bedside, positioning it so she can see inside without having to move too much. Elena reaches out with trembling hands, touching the edge of the bassinet, not quite brave enough to touch their daughter. She's so small, Elena whispers. 4 pounds, 11 ounces, Dante says softly. But she's gaining weight. The doctors say she's doing remarkably well. Can I? Elena's voice breaks. Can I hold her? One of the nurses shakes her head gently. Not quite yet, Mrs. Moretti. Your incision needs a few more days to heal before we risk you lifting her. But you can touch her, talk to her. She knows your voice from all those months inside you. Elena carefully reaches into the bassinet, her fingers ghosting over their daughter's tiny hand. The baby's fingers immediately wrap around Elena's, and both parents watch in wonder as their daughter makes her first conscious connection with her mother. Hello, sweet girl, Elena murmurs, her voice thick with tears. I'm your mama. I'm so sorry it took me so long to come see you. I wanted to be there when you were born, wanted to hold you right away, but her voice breaks entirely. But you were fighting to stay alive, Dante finishes quietly. Fighting to recover so you could be strong for her. She understands, Elena. Somehow, I think she understands. Elena looks up at him for the first time since he entered the room, and Dante sees the full depth of her pain. But he also sees something else, a tiny spark of something that might, eventually, become forgiveness. "I got your letter," she says quietly. "Everything in it was true." "I know. That's what makes it so hard." Elena returns her gaze to their daughter. "Part of me wants to throw you out of our lives forever. Part of me wants to make you hurt the way you hurt me. But then I look at her, and I think about how she needs her father. How I can't let my pain rob her of having both parents who love her." "I do love her," Dante says fervently. "More than I knew it was possible to love someone. And I love you, Elena. I never stopped. Love isn't enough, though, is it?" Elena's voice is sad, resigned. "Love didn't stop you from having an affair. Love didn't make you answer my calls when I was in labor. Love doesn't erase what happened." "No," Dante agrees. "It doesn't. But maybe it can be a foundation to build something new. Something better than what we had before." Elena is quiet for a long moment, stroking their daughter's tiny hand with one finger. She needs a name. The change of subject is deliberate, and Dante follows her lead. "What do you want to call her?" "I was thinking." Elena pauses. "I was thinking Lucia. It means light. Because even in the darkest moment of my life, when I thought I might die, when I was so scared and alone, she was the light that kept me fighting." "Lucia," Dante repeats, tasting the name. "It's perfect. Lucia Elena Moretti." Elena's breath catches. "You want to use my name?" "Of course. She should carry the name of the strongest woman I've ever known." Fresh tears spill down Elena's cheeks. "Dante, I mean it, Elena. You survived a traumatic birth. You're healing from major surgery. And even after everything I put you through, you're still here, still fighting, still being an incredible mother. You're the strongest person I know." The nurses, sensing the intimate moment, quietly slip from the room, giving the new family privacy. Elena and Dante sit in silence for a long while, both watching their daughter, Lucia, as she sleeps peacefully, unaware of the complicated world she's been born into. "I can't forgive you yet," Elena finally says, her voice soft but firm. "What you did, it broke something inside me. Maybe it can be fixed eventually, but not now. Not when it's so fresh and raw. I understand. But I'm willing to try," she continues. "Not for us, not yet. But for Lucia. She deserves to have both her parents in her life, working together, even if we're not together." The clarification stings, but Dante accepts it. "Whatever you need, whatever boundaries you want to set, I'll respect them. I want separate bedrooms when I come home. I can't. I'm not ready to share a bed with you." "Done. I'll move my things to the guest suite. I want full transparency about your schedule. If you're going to be late, you call. If plans change, you let me know immediately. No more mysterious absences." "Absolutely." "And Dante," Elena's voice hardens, "if you ever betray me again, if you so much as look at another woman with interest, if you give me any reason to doubt your commitment to this family, I will take Lucia and disappear. You'll never find us. Do you understand?" The threat should alarm him, should trigger his instincts to control, to ensure he always knows where his family is. But instead, Dante feels only respect for the steel in his wife's voice. "I understand. And Elena, I give you my word on my father's grave, on Lucia's life, that I will never betray you again. What happened with Vanessa was the biggest mistake of my life. It cost me everything that matters. I won't make that mistake twice." Elena nods slowly, then winces as the movement pulls at her incision. "You should rest," Dante says immediately. "You're still recovering." "I don't want to leave her," Elena protests. "I just got to see her. She'll be here tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that. You need to heal so you can take care of her properly. Will you?" Elena hesitates. "Will you stay with her tonight? In the NICU? I can't stand the thought of her being alone. I haven't left her side for more than a few hours since she was born," Dante assures her. "She's never alone, Elena. Either I'm with her, or Rosa, or one of my men is stationed nearby. She's protected. She's loved." Something in Elena's expression softens. "Thank you for being there for her when I couldn't. It's what I should have done from the beginning. What I should have done when you called me, when you needed me. I can't change the past, but I can make sure I'm present for every moment going forward. The nurses return to collect Lucia and return her to the NICU. As they wheel the bassinet toward the door, Elena calls out, "Wait." She leans as close as her healing body will allow and presses a gentle kiss to Lucia's forehead. "Mama loves you, sweet girl, more than anything in this world." Dante watches his wife kiss their daughter, sees the love and fierce protectiveness in her eyes, and feels something he hasn't felt in months: hope. Maybe they can find their way back to each other. Maybe the man he used to be, the man who would have moved heaven and earth for Elena, is still in there somewhere, waiting to be reclaimed. Maybe it's not too late after all. The call comes 2 days later, while Dante is in the NICU for Lucia's morning feeding. "Boss, we have a problem." Marco's voice is tight with tension. The Russos made their move. Dante's blood runs cold. What happened? They grabbed Rosa, snatched her right off the street 3 blocks from the hospital. Left a message. They want to meet. Tonight. They're using her as leverage. The room spins. Rosa, who has been like a second mother to him, who loves Lucia like her own grandchild, is in the hands of Salvatore Russo, a man known for his brutality, for his willingness to torture innocents to make a point. "Where?" Dante demands, already moving toward the exit. "The old warehouse in Red Hook. Midnight. You come alone, or Rosa dies." "I'll be there." "Boss, it's obviously a trap. They're using Rosa to draw you out, to catch you vulnerable." "I don't care. We're not leaving her with those animals." Dante's mind is already racing through possibilities, strategies, ways to turn the situation to his advantage. Assemble the team. Full tactical gear. I want sharpshooters on every building with a line of sight to that warehouse. I want surveillance drones in the air. And I want a medical team on standby. "You're not seriously going in there alone?" "That's exactly what I'm doing. But I'm not going in unprepared." Dante pauses outside Elena's room. "And Marco, Elena and Lucia cannot know about this. Double their security detail, but keep it invisible. If the Russos think they can use my family to control me, we need to prove them wrong." He ends the call and takes a moment to compose himself before entering Elena's room. She's up, moving slowly around the room, trying to regain her strength. She's dressed in real clothes for the first time since the surgery, soft leggings and an oversized sweater that hides the bandages underneath. Her hair is down, falling in waves around her shoulders, and despite everything, despite the pain and exhaustion etched into her face, she's beautiful. "Dante," she says, surprised to see him. "I thought you'd be with Lucia." "I was. He struggles to find words that won't alarm her. "I have a business situation I need to handle tonight. But I wanted you to know that I've increased security around you and Lucia. You might notice a few more men in the hallways." Elena's eyes narrow. "What kind of business situation?" "Nothing for you to worry about. Just some territorial disputes that need personal attention." "Don't lie to me, Dante." Elena's voice hardens. "We agreed on full transparency, remember?" He'd known this moment would come. Known that rebuilding trust meant being honest, even when the truth was dangerous. "The Russo family has made a move against us," he says carefully. "They've taken Rosa. They want to meet tonight to discuss terms." The color drains from Elena's face. "Rosa? They have Rosa! We're going to get her back. I promise you. This is because of you," Elena says, her voice rising. "Because of your business, your empire, your endless feuds with other families. Rosa got caught in the crossfire because she works for us, because she loves our daughter." "I know." Dante's voice is heavy with guilt. "And I will get her back safely. But Elena, you and Lucia are protected. They won't get near you." "How can you promise that?" Elena demands. "How can you promise anything when you've already proven that you can't protect the people you claim to love?" The words hit like bullets, all the more painful because they're true. "You're right," Dante says quietly. "I failed everyone who depended on me. I failed you. I failed Rosa. I failed my daughter in ways I'm still discovering. But I'm asking you to trust me one more time. Just for tonight. Let me handle this situation, and I swear I will bring Rosa home safely." Elena stares at him for a long moment, and Dante can see the war playing out behind her eyes. Trust versus fear. Hope versus bitter experience. "If anything happens to Rosa," her voice breaks. "She's family, Dante. She's been more of a mother to me than my own. If you let her die because of your pride or your violence or your inability to walk away from this life, I won't, Dante interrupts firmly. I give you my word. Rosa will be home by morning. Elena nods slowly, wrapping her arms around herself. Be careful. Whatever you think of me right now, whatever's broken between us, Lucia needs her father. Don't make her grow up without you. The concern in her voice, the fact that she still cares whether he lives or dies despite everything he's done, makes Dante's chest tighten with emotion. I'll come back, he promises. And when I do, we'll bring Rosa to meet Lucia properly. As a family. He turns to leave, but Elena's voice stops him. Dante! He looks back. I meant what I said earlier, about being willing to try. Whatever this life of yours has cost us, whatever danger it brings, I'm not running away. Not anymore. So you make sure you come back from whatever you're about to do. Because Lucia and I will be here waiting. It's not forgiveness. It's not even close to reconciliation. But it's something, a tiny thread of connection, a possibility that maybe, eventually, they can find their way back to each other. I love you, Dante says, the words raw and honest. I know I've destroyed your trust. I know I have no right to your love anymore. But I need you to know, whatever happens tonight, whatever happens in the future, I love you, Elena. You and Lucia. Nothing else matters. Elena's eyes fill with tears, but she doesn't respond. Just nods once, a tiny acknowledgement that she heard him. And then Dante walks out, heading toward a confrontation that could end with him dead, Rosa dead, and his family left vulnerable and alone. But he has no choice. Rosa is family. She's been loyal to the Morettis for 2 decades. And Dante has already failed too many people he loves. He won't fail her too. The warehouse in Red Hook sits like a monument to decay. Rusted metal siding, broken windows, graffiti covering every surface. It's the kind of place where bad things happen and bodies disappear into the East River without a trace. Dante arrives at 11:45 p.m., 15 minutes early. He's alone as promised, walking through the darkness with his hands visible, no weapons drawn. But he's not unprepared. Marco's team surrounds the building. Sharpshooters on nearby rooftops, surveillance drones overhead, armed men ready to breach at a signal. The warehouse door groans open, revealing Salvatore Russo himself. He's a man in his 70s, white-haired but still powerful, with cold eyes that have seen decades of violence. Behind him stand 6 armed men, and in the center of the room, tied to a chair, is Rosa. She's been beaten. Her face is bruised, her lips split, but her eyes flash with defiance when she sees Dante. She shakes her head slightly, a warning. It's a trap. Moretti, Salvatore says, his voice carrying the weight of old-world authority. You came. Good. I was beginning to think you didn't care about your employees. Let her go, Salvatore. Dante's voice is calm, controlled. Whatever issue you have is with me, not with an innocent woman. Innocent! Salvatore laughs. No one who works for the Morettis is innocent. This woman has cleaned blood from your floors, has looked the other way while you conducted your business. She's as complicit as anyone. She's a housekeeper. She has nothing to do with the business. Ah, but that's where you're wrong. Salvatore circles Rosa's chair slowly. She knows things. Schedules. Routines. Who comes and goes from your home. Very valuable information. Dante's blood runs cold. If you've touched my family, your family is fine. For now. Salvatore's smile is predatory. But I wanted you to understand something, Moretti. You've been expanding into territories that don't belong to you. Taking contracts that were promised to other families. Acting like you're untouchable. Those territories were neutral. Those contracts were open for bidding. Nothing is neutral in our world. Everything belongs to someone, and you've been taking what belongs to me. Salvatore pulls out a gun, pressing it against Rosa's temple. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to withdraw from the waterfront operations. You're going to hand over your shipping contracts. And you're going to pay me $10 million in reparations. And if I refuse, then this woman dies. And then I start taking things that matter to you more. Your businesses, your properties, your wife and newborn daughter, alone and vulnerable in that hospital. The threat against Elena and Lucia makes Dante's vision turn red. Every instinct screams at him to draw his weapon, to end Salvatore right here. But Rosa is in the line of fire, and one wrong move could get her killed. You don't want to threaten my family, Dante says quietly, and something in his tone makes Salvatore's men shift nervously. You really don't want to go there. Why? Because you'll do what? You're outnumbered and outgunned. Your little security detail outside won't help you if I put a bullet in your brain right now. Dante reaches slowly into his jacket pocket. Salvatore's men raise their weapons, but Dante pulls out only his phone. Before you do anything you'll regret, Dante says, you should know that every word of this conversation is being recorded and transmitted to 3 different locations. If anything happens to me, to Rosa, or to my family, those recordings will be delivered to the FBI, the NYPD, and every journalist in New York. Your entire organization will be exposed. Salvatore's expression darkens. You're bluffing. Am I? Dante hits a button on his phone, and Salvatore's own voice plays back. Then this woman dies. And then I start taking things that matter to you more. Your businesses, your properties, your wife and newborn daughter. The color drains from Salvatore's face. In their world, direct threats like that, spoken and recorded, are evidence that could bring down entire families. The old codes might protect them from most legal consequences, but kidnapping and threatening a newborn baby? That crosses lines even other crime families won't tolerate. You set me up, Salvatore hisses. You set yourself up by threatening my family. Dante's voice is cold steel. Here's what's actually going to happen. You're going to release Rosa unharmed. You're going to withdraw from your position on the waterfront, not me, you. And you're going to pay me $5 million for the trouble you've caused. You think I'm going to agree to that? I think you're going to agree to that because if you don't, this recording goes public. The commission will hear how you threatened a newborn baby. Every family in New York will know that you violated the most basic codes of our world. And Salvatore, you know what happens to men who hurt children. The threat hangs in the air. In the underworld, there are rules. Fluid, often contradictory rules, but rules nonetheless. And threatening babies is beyond the pale, even for men who kill for a living. Salvatore stares at Dante for a long moment, his jaw clenched with fury. Then he looks at his men, seeing the doubt in their eyes. They've heard the recording. They know their boss crossed a line. Fine, Salvatore spits. Take your housekeeper. But this isn't over, Moretti. You've made an enemy today. I had an enemy yesterday. Today, I have a defeated enemy. There's a difference. Dante moves toward Rosa, pulling a knife from his boot to cut her restraints. And Salvatore, if you ever, and I mean ever, come near my family again, there won't be negotiations. There won't be recordings or threats. There will just be your funeral. Rosa stumbles when Dante frees her, and he catches her, supporting her weight as they move toward the exit. Walk away, Salvatore calls after them. But remember, in our world, debts always come due. Dante doesn't respond. Just keeps walking, keeping his body between Rosa and Salvatore's men, half expecting a bullet in the back. But they make it outside, into the cool night air, into the safety of Marco's waiting team. Get her to the hospital, Dante orders. Full medical workup, and someone call Elena. Tell her Rosa is safe. As Marco's men hustle Rosa into a waiting SUV, she grabs Dante's arm with surprising strength. Your father would be proud of you tonight, she says, her voice thick with emotion. Not for the threats or the power plays, but for knowing when to fight and when to protect. He would be proud. The words hit Dante harder than any of Salvatore's threats. His father, who built this empire, who taught him to be strong but also to be honorable. His father, who always said that family came first, before business, before pride, before everything. Thank you, Rosa, for everything. For taking care of Elena when I wasn't there. For loving Lucia like your own. For, his voice catches, for being family. Rosa cups his face in her hands, ignoring her own pain. Now you go back to your wife and daughter. You show them that you learned something tonight, that you can be the man they need. But the night isn't over. Dante's phone rings as the SUV carrying Rosa pulls away. It's the hospital, the head of a security detail. Boss, we have a situation. 2 men try to access the maternity ward. They claim to be maintenance workers, but they had no credentials. We detained them, and they're carrying Russo family tattoos. Dante's blood turns to ice. While Salvatore was holding Rosa and Red Hook, he had men moving on the hospital. A backup plan. A contingency in case the negotiations went wrong. Where are they now? Secured in a service corridor on the 3rd floor. But boss, we found blueprints on one of them. Detailed layouts of the 5th floor, including Mrs. Moretti's room and the NICU. They were planning to take Elena and Lucia. The realization hits Dante like a physical blow. Salvatore's demand for money and territory was never the real play. It was a distraction, keeping Dante occupied while his men infiltrated the hospital. Lock down the 5th floor, Dante orders, already running back to his car. No one in or out except medical staff, we verified. Move Elena and Lucia to a secure location inside the hospital. And someone tell my wife what's happening. She deserves to know the truth. He makes the drive from Red Hook to Mount Sinai in record time, his mind racing with terrible possibilities. What if there are more of Russo's men he doesn't know about? What if they got past security before the lockdown? What if Elena and Lucia are already in danger? The hospital is in controlled chaos when he arrives. Police have been called. Dante made sure of that, wanting official witnesses to the attempted kidnapping. His security team has the 5th floor sealed off, and hospital security is searching every floor for additional threats. Dante takes the stairs 3 at a time, bursting onto the 5th floor with his weapon drawn. His men snap to attention. Report, he barks. Mrs. Moretti and the baby are secure in room 518. It's an internal room with no windows and only one entrance. We've got 4 men posted outside. The 2 suspects are in custody, and NYPD is questioning them now. Any others? Not that we've found, but we're still searching. Dante holsters his weapon and moves toward room 518. His hands are shaking, not from fear for himself, but from the terror of almost losing them, of having his worst nightmare nearly come true. The door opens before he can knock. Elena stands there, Lucia cradled carefully in her arms despite her healing incision. She's pale, her eyes wide with fear, but she's also visibly angry. Get in here, she says quietly. Now. Dante enters the room, and Elena closes the door behind him. Then she rounds on him with all the fury of a mother protecting her child. This is your life, she hisses, keeping her voice low to avoid disturbing Lucia. This is what you've brought into our daughter's life. Men with weapons, kidnapping attempts, police in lockdowns and terror. This is what it means to be married to Dante Moretti. Elena, I know. Do you? She's crying now, angry tears streaming down her face. Do you know what it's like to be told that men are trying to break into the hospital to take your baby? To hold your newborn daughter and wonder if this is the last time you'll see her? To realize that loving you means putting her in constant danger. I will protect you, Dante says desperately. Both of you. I'll do whatever it takes. You can't protect us from everything. Elena's voice rises, and Lucia stirs in her arms, making a small sound of distress. Elena immediately softens, rocking their daughter gently. You can't be everywhere at once. You can't stop every threat. And as long as you're in this life, as long as you're running this empire, there will always be someone trying to hurt you through us. The truth of her words settles over Dante like a death sentence. She's right. As long as he's the head of the Moretti family, as long as he's involved in the criminal underworld, his wife and daughter will be targets. What do you want me to do? He asks quietly. I want you to choose, Elena says, her voice breaking. I want you to choose between this life and your family. Because you can't have both. Not anymore. Not after tonight. The ultimatum hangs in the air between them. Everything Dante has built, everything he's inherited, everything his father died to preserve, all of it on one side. And on the other side, his wife and daughter. His future. His redemption. If I walk away from the business, Dante says slowly, there will be a power vacuum. Families will fight to fill it. There will be blood in the streets. So let there be blood, Elena says fiercely. As long as it's not ours. As long as it's not our daughter's. My father. Your father is dead, Dante. He's been dead for 5 years. And you've spent those 5 years trying to live up to his legacy, trying to prove you're worthy of the empire he built. But what about proving you're worthy of your own daughter? What about building a legacy she can be proud of? The words hit home with devastating accuracy. His father's empire, his father's expectations, his father's shadow, looming over everything Dante does. But Lucia is his daughter, his responsibility, his future. And Elena is right. He can't protect them while remaining a target himself. I'll do it, he says quietly. I'll walk away from the business. I'll transfer control to Marco, step back from active operations. We'll move out of New York, somewhere the Russo family and others like them can't reach us. We'll start over. Elena stares at him, searching his face for any sign of deception. You mean that? You'd really give it all up? I'd give up anything for you and Lucia. I should have realized that months ago. Should have chosen you over everything else from the beginning. Dante moves closer, close enough to touch but still maintaining distance, respecting Elena's boundaries. I don't know if walking away will be enough to earn your forgiveness. I don't know if I can ever undo the damage I've caused. But I know that our daughter deserves better than a father who's always looking over his shoulder, who's always choosing business over family. She deserves better. You deserve better. Tears stream down Elena's face as she looks down at their sleeping daughter. This doesn't fix everything, Dante. You still betrayed me. You still ignored my calls when I needed you most. Walking away from the business doesn't erase what happened. I know, but it's a start. Elena's voice is soft, cautious. It's the first real choice you've made that puts us first. There's a knock at the door, one of Dante's security team. Boss, NYPD wants a statement. And we've cleared the building. No additional threats. Tell them I'll give a statement in the morning. Dante calls back. And have Marco meet me here. We need to have a conversation about the future of the family business. Over the next hour, Dante lays out his plan to Marco. He'll remain titular head of the Moretti family, but only in name. Marco will handle all day-to-day operations, all business decisions, all territorial disputes. Dante will be a figurehead, consulted on major decisions, but otherwise removed from the violence and danger. You're sure about this? Marco asks, his expression torn between relief and concern. Once you step back, it'll be hard to step forward again. The other families will see it as weakness. Let them, Dante says. I don't care what they see. I care about keeping my family safe. Marco nods slowly. Your father would have understood this choice. Family always came first for him too in the end. Then help me make it work. Take over the operations, maintain the peace, and keep me informed but at a distance. Can you do that? I can. And I will. Marco extends his hand. It's been an honor serving under you, boss. They shake hands, and Dante feels a weight lift from his shoulders. The weight of his father's expectations. The weight of an empire built on violence. The weight of trying to be someone he was never meant to be. 3 months later, Dante wakes to the sound of crying. Not distress crying. Lucia's hungry cry, the one that means she's ready for her morning feeding. He glances at the clock. 6:15 a.m. Right on schedule. He slips out of bed quietly, though Elena is already stirring. They're sharing a bedroom again. A development that happened gradually over the past few weeks, starting with Elena falling asleep on the couch while they talked late one night and Dante carrying her to bed. She'd woken in his arms and hadn't pulled away. Progress. The house in Westchester is nothing like their Manhattan penthouse. It's smaller, quieter, surrounded by trees instead of skyscrapers. There are no security guards stationed at every corner, no bulletproof windows, no panic rooms. Just a normal family home in a normal neighborhood where Dante can walk to the corner store without being recognized. Lucia's nursery is painted the same soft gray as the room Elena assembled in the penthouse. Elena insisted on it, wanting some continuity for their daughter. Dante finds Lucia in her crib, her tiny fists waving in the air, her face scrunched up with the indignation of a 3-month-old who has decided she's hungry right now. Good morning, Piccola, Dante murmurs, lifting her into his arms. She immediately quiets. Her dark eyes, they stay dark, like his, focusing on his face with the intensity of someone who recognizes and trusts him. It never gets old, that look of recognition. That moment when his daughter sees him and feels safe. He carries her downstairs to where Elena has already prepared a bottle. They work in synchronized silence, Dante feeding Lucia while Elena makes coffee, a routine they've perfected over the past 3 months. Marco called last night. Elena says, settling into the chair beside Dante. He said the Russo situation is resolved. Salvatore is retiring to Florida, and his sons are focusing on legitimate businesses. No more threats. Good, Dante says, watching Lucia drain her bottle with impressive efficiency. I told Marco not to call unless it was urgent. We're supposed to be removed from all that now. I think he just wanted you to know you could stop worrying. Elena reaches over to stroke Lucia's soft hair, and that he's handling everything well. He wants you to be proud of him. I am proud of him. He's doing a better job than I ever did. That's not true. You built something strong enough to survive your absence. That takes skill. Dante looks at his wife, noting the softness in her voice when she talks about his business decisions. It's not forgiveness. They both know forgiveness is something that has to be earned daily, through actions, not words. But it's acceptance, understanding, a willingness to see the man he's trying to become rather than just the man he was. I got a call from a clinic yesterday, Elena says, changing the subject. They want to interview me for the nurse coordinator position. Since moving to Westchester, Elena has been slowly rebuilding the career she gave up when she married Dante. She started by volunteering at a children's clinic, using her finance degree and her natural compassion to help families navigate insurance and medical bills. Now they want to offer her a real position. That's wonderful, Dante says genuinely. When's the interview? Friday afternoon. Rosa said she'd watch Lucia. Rosa has moved to Westchester too, living in a small apartment 10 minutes away, unable to resist being close to the baby she loves like a grandchild. Or I could watch her, Dante suggests. I'm perfectly capable of taking care of our daughter for a few hours. Elena smiles, a real smile, the kind that lights up her whole face. I know you are. You've become a really good father, Dante. The compliment makes his chest warm. I had a lot to make up for. You did, and you're still making up for it. But Dante, she pauses, choosing her words carefully. I think I'm ready to stop keeping score. Stop measuring every good thing you do against the mistakes you made. I think I'm ready to just move forward. Hope blooms in Dante's chest. What does that mean? It means I'm tired of being angry. I'm tired of holding on to the hurt. It doesn't mean I've forgotten what happened, or that I trust you completely. But it means I want to try to rebuild what we had. Maybe build something even better, something stronger because we've been through the worst and survived. Dante reaches for Elena's hand, and she lets him take it. Her fingers intertwine with his, and even that simple touch feels like a miracle. I love you, he says quietly. I never stopped loving you, even when I was betraying you, even when I was being the worst version of myself. And I promise, Elena, I will spend the rest of my life proving that I'm worthy of a second chance. I know you will. That's why I'm giving it to you. Lucia finishes her bottle and lets out a small burp that makes both her parents laugh. Dante lifts her to his shoulder, patting her back gently while she nestles into the crook of his neck. She's going to grow up so fast, Elena says softly. In a few years, she'll be running around, asking questions, starting school. We'll blink, and she'll be a teenager. And she'll be amazing, Dante says with certainty. Because she has you as her mother. The strongest, most forgiving, most incredible woman I've ever known. Elena leans her head on Dante's shoulder, and they sit there together in the early morning light. Mother, father, and daughter. A family that almost wasn't, saved by a series of painful choices and hard-won forgiveness. I want to tell her the truth someday, Elena says, when she's old enough to understand. I want to tell her that her father made mistakes, that our family nearly fell apart, but that we fought to keep it together. Why? Dante asks, curious. Because I want her to know that love isn't perfect. That people mess up, sometimes terribly, but that doesn't mean the story is over. I want her to know that her parents chose each other, chose her, even when it was hard. Maybe especially because it was hard. Dante kisses the top of Elena's head, then presses a gentle kiss to Lucia's forehead. His two girls. His whole world. She'll know, he promises. We'll tell her everything. And we'll make sure she knows that every day of her life, she was loved beyond measure. 6 months later, Dante stands in the backyard of their Westchester home, watching Elena chase a crawling Lucia across the grass. Their daughter is fast, determined to reach the flower bed where colorful blooms sway in the breeze. Elena catches her just in time, scooping her up and spinning her around until Lucia squeals with laughter. The sound of his daughter's joy is better than any business deal, more satisfying than any victory in the boardroom or the streets. Rosa appears beside him, carrying a tray of lemonade. She's fully recovered from her ordeal with the Russos, though she still has nightmares sometimes. But she's here, with the family she loves, helping to raise the granddaughter of her heart. "You look happy," she observes, handing Dante a glass. "I am happy. For the first time in years, maybe the first time since my father died, I'm genuinely happy." "Good. You deserve it. Both of you do." Rosa watches Elena and Lucia with open affection. "That woman forgave you, you know. Really forgave you. Not many people could do that." "I know. I thank God for her every day." "Don't thank God. Thank her. And make sure you keep earning that forgiveness through your actions, not just your words." "I will." Inside, Dante's phone rings. He hesitates. Phone calls still make him nervous, still trigger memories of that terrible night when he ignored Elena's desperate calls. But it's just Carmen, Elena's sister, calling to confirm dinner plans for the weekend. Normal family stuff. The kind of mundane, beautiful normalcy that Dante never appreciated until he almost lost it. Later that night, after Lucia is asleep and Rosa has gone home, Dante and Elena sit on their back porch, watching fireflies dance in the darkness. "I was thinking," Elena says, "maybe we should have another baby. In a year or two, when Lucia is older. I'd like her to have a sibling." The suggestion surprises and delights Dante. "You'd be willing to go through pregnancy and childbirth again? After what happened with Lucia, it won't be like that next time. You'll be there with me. You'll answer when I call. And even if something goes wrong, I know you'll move heaven and earth to protect us." Elena turns to face him. "That's the difference, Dante. Last time, I didn't know if I could count on you. This time, I know I can." The trust in her voice, the absolute certainty that he'll be there when she needs him, makes Dante's throat tight with emotion. "I'd love another baby," he says. "A brother or sister for Lucia. More chances to get fatherhood right from the beginning." "You're getting it right now," Elena assures him. "Lucia adores you. She lights up every time you walk into the room. Because she doesn't remember the man I was before. She only knows the father I've become. Then maybe that's all that matters. Not who you were, but who you're choosing to be now." They sit in comfortable silence, hands intertwined, and Dante reflects on the journey that brought them here. The affair that nearly destroyed them. The ignored calls that could have cost him everything. The emergency surgery that saved Elena and Lucia but almost came too late. The confrontation with the Russos that forced him to choose between his empire and his family. All of it led to this moment. To this quiet evening on a porch in Westchester, with his wife beside him and his daughter sleeping peacefully upstairs. "Do you ever regret it?" Elena asks suddenly. "Walking away from the business, from the power and the respect and everything your father built." Dante considers the question carefully. Does he miss it? Sometimes. The authority, the control, the knowledge that he commanded respect from powerful men. But then he remembers the price, the constant danger, the moral compromises, the nights spent away from his family, the moment he turned off his phone while his wife and daughter faced death alone. "No," he says with absolute certainty. "I don't regret it, because what I have now is worth more than any empire. I have you. I have Lucia. I have the chance to be the man I should have been from the beginning." Elena leans against him, and Dante wraps his arm around her, pulling her close. "I'm proud of you," she whispers, "for changing, for fighting for us, for becoming the husband and father we needed." "I had good motivation," Dante says, kissing her temple. "I almost lost everything." That tends to clarify priorities pretty quickly. They sit there until the fireflies disappear and the night grows cold. Then they go inside, check on their sleeping daughter one last time, and go to bed together. In the darkness, Elena reaches for Dante's hand. "Thank you," she says softly. "For what?" "For coming back. For choosing us. For proving that people can change." "Thank you for giving me the chance," Dante responds. "For forgiving me when I didn't deserve it. For loving me through the worst version of myself until I could become someone better." They fall asleep like that, hands clasped, hearts finally at peace. And in her nursery down the hall, Lucia sleeps soundly, dreaming baby dreams, unaware of the complicated journey her parents took to create this safe, loving home. But someday she'll know the story. She'll learn that her father made terrible mistakes but found his way back to what mattered. She'll learn that her mother is the strongest person in the world, capable of forgiveness that changes lives. She'll learn that family isn't about perfection. It's about choosing each other, again and again, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Because that night, when Dante turned off his phone and ignored Elena's desperate calls, he nearly destroyed everything. But in the end, that terrible choice led to the most important decision of his life. Choosing love over power, family over empire, redemption over pride. And sometimes, that's what it takes to build something real. Something lasting. Something worth fighting for. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you love this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.